Okay folks, Sue Bell from ThemeZoom, and I'm back again to talk a little bit more about market analysis and theme analysis and the niche that I'm going after, which is first-time home buyers. So one thing that I don't think I really covered is what makes an important keyword and what puts these keywords on the bubble chart. And what we're trying to look for are the high points within this theme. That's what makes a keyword important is high cost per click, high natural search, and relatively speaking high numbers of competing pages, as well as a high relevance to the term itself. So in other words, I'm looking for relationships. Some relationships are a little bit tangent, but most of the relationships are pretty tight. And I'm looking for important keywords in terms of TSMV and competing pages. So we actually take up to 4 different levels of competing pages. And we look at the most important keywords in each one of those levels, and that's how we make this chart. So now that we have an idea of what's important, let's scroll down the screen and let's look at what's interesting. Now what's important, the keywords that are in the bubble chart, that's important from a vertical market analysis perspective, or even not so much vertical market analysis, but just from a market analysis perspective. And so the keywords that are interesting more from a buyer's intent perspective. In other words, as you'll see here, there's the show all keywords, and some of the keywords that are brought back in the theme are hidden, and those keywords that are hidden by default are more the educational or the technical keywords. They haven't made the cut. Either they're not as lucrative, that the TSMV isn't as high, or typically it's TSMV. Typically it's a function of searches and cost per click that puts keywords on the front page versus the back page, because all of the keywords within the theme have to meet a certain criteria of relevance. Otherwise we wouldn't call them a theme, right? They're just a collection of keywords. So the fact that they made the cut to be the theme means that everything is relative here. So really the difference between the front screen and the back screen are going to be buyer's intent. So as we look down here through, I just want to show you what I think of when I'm looking at one of these, at the set of important or interesting keywords. As I'm looking down through here, that the things at the top are going to be more, by default this is sorted by competing pages, so the things at the top are going to be higher up the vertical market from where I am, and then you're going to come across the blue bar, which is the parent theme, and then you're going to be looking at keywords that are further down the numbers of competing pages. They're not quite as competitive. Typically the things that you find up above here are going to be a little bit too broad. So until you get within a few keywords of your parent theme, you're going to be looking at this area up here. But whereas these pulled out the most important terms, these are also quite tightly tied from an LSI perspective, so that we make sure that you're looking at the markets of which your parent theme is a segment. This might be a little bit more tangent, so you kind of see things like home improvements sort of off to the side, but it's an important consideration when you're looking at first-time home buyers, like what's the home improvement cost going to be. You know, that's a consideration when you're going to go buy a house, particularly in this market where a lot of the houses are not in all that great a shape. If you're looking at a foreclosed house or something like that, it might need quite a bit of home improvement. So these are going to tell you keywords that are important, interesting, and then on the back page more educational. So the first thing that I do, I'm looking here at the I'm sorted by competing pages, and I'm looking here, and these are the things that are high in competing pages, and the next thing that I would click on would be TSMV, because I'm interested in where the money's running in this market. And so I'm going to scroll down here, time, home, all these really broad terms obviously are going to float to the top. But then I start to get into here, and I look and I see, well, okay, first time home is actually a little bit more lucrative. New home is an interesting term, but not particularly germane to first-time home buyers. Home buyer, home inspection, home refinance. Home inspection, at least, is relative to my market. So you see, I'm looking more for those things that are most lucrative. I'll be back in the next